Countries across Africa have taken measures such as diluting petrol and restricting electricity consumption to cope with the fuel crisis triggered by the US and Israel's war in Iran. As governments look for alternative sources of fuel and people fear rising prices, suppliers in Ethiopia have been ordered to prioritize specific sectors, while Zimbabwe is increasing the ethanol content in its petrol. However, some nations such as Nigeria and South Africa could potentially benefit from new business as a result of the conflict. Find out how. Various countries in Africa face fuel shortages triggered by the disruption to oil and liquefied natural gas shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, a key route for about 1/5 of global energy supplies. Mauritius, which relies on imported fossil fuels, has seen its heavy fuel oil supply run low after a shipment expected on March 21st failed to arrive, leaving just 15 to 20 days of stock, Energy Minister Patrick Asirvaden said on March 23rd. In Kenya, Energy Minister Opiyo Wandayi said on March 25th the country had sufficient stock and urged consumers not to panic buy or hold. The announcement came after independent fuel retailers warned that about 20% of outlets were short of supplies, after the government kept pump prices steady despite surging global costs. Thousands of high-end cars being shipped from Japan and destined for Dubai were being dropped off on the Kenyan island of Lamu as a Mideast war provided a boost to African shipping hubs. More than 4,000 vehicles have been unloaded and parked in a warehouse on Lamu.
It is not something to celebrate because people there are suffering and facing difficulties, but at the same time, it is a commercial blessing because now that these two ships have come, we also expect other ships to come to this port of Lamu as well.
Uganda is also facing dwindling fuel stocks. Energy Minister Ruth Nankwa-Birwa said in a video on X that it has diesel and petrol stocks sufficient for 21 and 26 days respectively and plans to explore alternative supply channels. Meanwhile, South Sudan's capital Juba faces electricity rationing, while drivers of tuk-tuk taxis in Somalia's capital are abandoning their livelihoods as fuel prices surge as passengers have dropped away due to rising fares. In West Africa, Nigeria's Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, warned after meeting President Bola Tinubu that prolonged disruption could force work-from-home measures similar to the COVID-19 pandemic. The mega refinery has pledged to prioritize the domestic market to help prevent fuel shortages and limit the impact on prices of the war.
What we can assure, what is in our control, is that we will continue to ensure that Nigeria enjoys fuel abundance of high-quality fuels, but at internationally commodity-related benchmark pricing.
I'm worried about it. What I want is at least they should try to bring it down. They should bring it down to the normal price that is affordable for everybody.
In South Africa, a spike in purchases ahead of an expected steep April fuel price increase rather than supply constraints is causing isolated diesel stockouts at filling stations and among farmers. There's also another unforeseen consequence for South Africa. Ship refueling companies along Africa's coast are seeing a surge in business as more vessels divert around the Cape of Good Hope.
The whole world of tradable goods being affected simply because there are disruptions, freight rates are going up, and again, the critical fuels that power daily life and trade, such as oil and gas, have been disrupted in a really significant way.
There are some positives, however. Some ports and marine services in southern and eastern Africa could benefit from tankers and containers avoiding the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz and sailing around the Cape of Good Hope. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.